Okay, so like, can we talk about the electrokinetic staff? It's so fucking broken now after this patch. Like, look at it. Okay, so I'm gonna do a short demo here, right? Like, I have max warp charges, which is typically what you have in the game. You'll see why. So I just spawned a bajillion enemies, right? I'm on a non-inferno staff, and then all I have to do is just kill one guy. Yep, and then I shriek at them. Keep killing guys. Look how I instantly got all the warp charges back. I do it again, and boom, they're dead. That's like 50 enemies that I just killed. This this staff is so fucking busted to post-patch. Obviously, there's an Inferno, there's the Inferno staff, there's the Trauma staff, but EK is fucking great, okay? So now I'm gonna show you why real quick. So the secondary action is what it's probably known for, the one where you charge it up and do a little zap, right? And this is good, but it's kind of overshadowed in this current patch and in the previous patches. It's overshadowed by the M1, which is just as simple as you shoot a bomb. But why is it broken? You say, well, we have a blessing that gives us 2 shots every primary critical hit. And you have to remember that EK has a base 21% extra crit chance. So look how I have 44 base crit chance without Warp Nexus, the blessing that gives you crit chance. And now, without Scryers, I have 64% base crit chance on a Venting Shriek build on my primary fire. That's fucking ridiculous. So, and the other thing is, if you pay attention to the damage profile here, you can notice how it has crazy damage modifiers if you hit crits. It's close to like a 3 times multiplier on critical hits. It's kind of crazy. So all you have to do is just hit crits on enemies, and every shot, if you roll a crit, every shot you would hit twice, and it'll apply basically do double stagger and then proc a couple buffs that we're gonna talk about, and everything else basically, yeah. So I'm gonna show you one build. Then this build, it should be pretty easy to pick into. It's Venting Shriek. It should be easy to understand. You just get your heat up, you Venting Shriek enemies, and they die. Like it's about as simple as that. So here's the build, right? We have this. I'm actually gonna deselect these 2 points right here because I think these 2 are flex talent. So I'm gonna just quickly explain over like what the build is. Actually, I'm gonna do weapons first. I mean, obviously on EK we have flak and crit chance. Crit chance to be obvious, it's a weapon that scales with finesse. It's basically ranged dueling sword. It scales with finesse, it scales with crit insanely well, and it has a ridiculously fast fire rate on its M1. So, crit chance is obvious. Flak is the most common damage type in the game. You can put Maniac, you can put Unyielding. Anything else works, honestly. Perks are mostly preference. In terms of blessings, Surge is the one you wanna be taking, and also Warp Nexus gives you extra crit, so it's all just crit synergy. It should be pretty easy to understand. In terms of your melee, it doesn't really matter that much. All you have to do is just pick a melee that you like, and then you can move well with it. So right now I have the combat knife. So basically the EK doesn't do a lot of good boss and carapace damage. So you can see right here, I bring the knife to help to complement that. And in terms of carapace, I mostly leave that to your teammates, or there's a secret, well, not so secret, but there's some fucked up tech that you can do with your melee weapon combos to like boost your carapace damage greatly, which I'll get into in a hot minute. But yeah, anything on your melee works. You can pick the Force Greatsword, you can pick demos for like deflector and something. You can do dueling sword, of course, because it's so broken this patch. Yeah, pretty much. You can even, you know what? You can even play the assault chainsword because it's the movement speed blessing that you can you can like swap weapons to cancel out of, and you retain the move speed, so you can actually zoom around with that thing. Yeah, and it's also recently buffed. In terms of my curios, I run double stamina and more toughness. I've always been running this like since, I don't know, half a year ago at this point. Stamina's really good. Probably best curio stat in the game. Psyker's base toughness got increased. On Havoc, this build, pre-Psyker rework, this build used to give you 77 toughness on Havoc 40, and now it gives you 102. That's a lot of additional toughness. That's like almost 25 extra toughness. That's kind of crazy on Havoc 40. The other thing is, always be taking combat ability regeneration. That's a must pick. Stamina regeneration is also really, really good. And in terms of your third slot, it can be anything you want pretty much. I have double toughness and yeah, double toughness and 1 single damage resistance versus gunners. Because before this patch, my build it just helps you to like, you don't have that much toughness, so it helps like if your gunner started shooting you and didn't see, and you can like have the ability to just turn around and shoot them, proc and path activation. Okay, now to the build. Stuff here, pretty obvious. Middle and perfect timing has always been pretty good. Soul Stealer has been so insane. Perilous Combustion is really, really good, because it's not super good if you just take Perilous Combustion and no other soul blaze talent, but we have a lot of soul blaze in the kit, as you can see from Venting Shriek and from a couple other talents, and this is just enables us to get even more soul blaze from what we have, from even like a weapon that we don't have soul blaze from. I'm taking Smite here because Smite can actually, here, let me pull up the enemy. Smite can actually save you from Poxbursters. It's pretty cool. Besides from that, honestly, you can take anything you like. Like I said, there's 2 free talent points, so there's a lot of freedom with it. You can go Brain Rupture and then take Kinetic Flare. Kinetic Flare got buffed recently. It's actually kind of decent now, because it can proc off Wildfire, because Wildfire counts as attacks that you dealt against enemies. So that it's like a kind of like a passive dog that kills enemies for you, basically. Elites specifically and specialists. And right here, there's also Assail. Assailed, you can take Ethereal Shards if you want to play some Assail into Havocs. I have another build that uses Assail on EK, but for this build, I don't think Assail is very, very good, because Assail generates like 10% Pyro, and I think like if you want like the brain dead spam, kind of like just Soul Blaze spam, just take Smite or Kinetic Flare. Assail requires you to micro repair too much, but you can take it if you want. I might try out some more Assail with this build, but yeah. So down here, out of all these nodes, Channel Force is not very good because it requires you to fully charge the M2, and like the damage to M2, the boost, is only 10% after using primary attack, which you'll be primary attacking like the majority of the time. So 10% for a talent is, unlike a very situational bonus, is not super great. This node is not really relevant because we're just doing magic stuff. We're not using our melee, and you can slide while quelling. So we're taking this node. And also Soul Drinker got fixed. So now it refreshes, it reprocs itself during its duration. Before, it had a bug that it can only proc itself after its duration fully ended, which made it like uncomfortable to take on like non-Inferno builds. Or just like like staff builds, because it was positioned also on the right side of the tree, which was really awkward. Empyric Shock. Empyric Shock is crazy on EK, because remember that it's 6% damage per primary attack, but your EK shot fires 2 shots on every crit. So essentially, if you crit, say you fire 3 times against an enemy, and you crit 2 out of the 3 times, you have like a 60% crit chance. That's pretty reasonable assumption. So you would apply your warp damage against that enemy has now been amped up to from normal 100%, and now it's going to be amped up to 124%, which is a lot of extra damage, and it procs on every single elite that you're shooting at. The only thing it doesn't work against is grunts, because you instantly kill them, but you don't care because you have Venting Shriek. You shouldn't be shooting at grunts anyways, unless like your Venting Shriek's off cooldown and there's grunts right up your ass, and then you use a melee weapon. Wildfire, we're taking Wildfire here for Soul Drinker and for a talent that we're going to talk about below. Wildfire used to be not that great because you don't have points to get to it, as well as Psychonet's aura, and it doesn't actually do a lot of damage, but we're not taking this for damage, we're taking this specifically to proc Soul Drinker and to proc Fire Reborn. For the aura, Seer's Presence, combined Seer's Presence with max warp charges, along with like the curios on max cooldown reduction, you can get to like around 6.5% venting shriek like per every venting shriek, which is absolutely insane. So I'm taking this. You can also take the crit chance if you want to lean more into like the special sniping role, but I'd recommend taking Seer's Presence. And then down here what we have is we have Psyker SR, obviously a pillar stone of every single Psyker's field. They nerfed it for Inferno stat, but they made it so that if you're gradually killing each individual elite over a period of time and stuff like 10 elites within a second, then it's actually better because the cooldown regeneration doesn't stack, but you can refresh it. So if you're like killing like 10 elites over the course of like 30 seconds, and you're actually getting more cooldown reduction compared to like 10 elites that in like 1 second, which it's pretty hard to do on EK first of all, and also just like it's more of an Inferno stat thing. So it's technically buffed for EK, which is fucking ridiculous. Empathic evasion is broken and overpowered, and it makes you immune to all ranged enemies as long as you're using your M1. And yeah, pretty much like you don't even have to dodge. Sometimes I dodge against them when I'm not shooting, or when I just like want to move around, but like realistically, you don't even have to dodge. You don't need to dodge. You can just hold W and walk into the gunners. You'll be completely safe as long as you don't miss your shots. One with a Warper Classic gives you toughness damage. You usually play between 60 and 100% peril, so that means you get usually 23 to 33% toughness DR. That's pretty good. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. It's always been really good in that sense, especially now with how like extra toughness the Psyker gets at its base. Yeah. But this talent, new talent, it's called Just a Dream. It's essentially giving you 25% damage reduction as long as you're below 97% peril, and it converts peril and damage taken as a 1-to-1 ratio. But the conversion is more efficient if you have peril reduction. It's really good. You shouldn't rely on it if you don't have peril generation reduction like Empyric Resolve or Battle Meditation. But it's like, say you're playing at 60% peril, right? And you take like 100 damage. You take 100 damage from like a shotgunner shot or something. I don't think they do that much damage, but let's just pretend they do. And then 75%, you take 75 damage. Assume you have no other DR talents. You take 75% damage, and then 25% of that damage you don't take, and it's converted to peril. So instead of being at 60% peril, you're going to be at 85%, and you're going to only take 75 instead of 100% damage. Like, even if you're playing at 80+% peril, the times where you're going to be getting shot at by ranged enemies by chipped that much damage is actually like when you're not shooting, because remember you have empathic evasion. So it's like when you're like rotating between places and just like moving around and getting like shot in the back, this is where this talent gets like, it's a really good safety tool. Okay, now we go down here. Obviously, there's only one single toughness. I don't know why they gave Psyker so much toughness. It's kind of absurd. Venting Shriek is always good. Venting Shriek, Creeping Flames, all you have to remember is Creeping Flames apply 6 max stacks of Soul Blaze, which is 6, at 85% peril. And on top of all that, the Creeping Flames also can overstack peril. For example, like what I mean is perils can... no, not peril. What am I saying? Soul Blaze. Soul Blaze only goes up to 16 stacks, but Creeping Flames overstacks it to up to 22. And since Soul Blaze scales exponentially, that means like close to a 70% damage bonus when you use Creeping Flames at max stats of Soul Blaze. It's why this ability is so broken. It also stuns. The stun also scales with how much peril you have, and it helps. Like you can use this ability through walls to stagger enemies. You could like get dogs off your teammates, or just like kill hordes. Like you can kill a couple specials, turn around and just shriek at the horde and then delete it. Yeah, okay. So now we get down. Solidity is always really good. Puppet Master is dog shit and trash talent. It doesn't do anything. Coherency barely does anything in the same. So you're taking Solidity. The 30% quell speed is super nice on Havocs because there's a quell speed reduction. And I'm not going to talk about attack stats, but Warp Rider is self-explanatory. It's always been extremely good. As long as you're playing at the higher the peril you play, the more damage you'll deal, and it's raw damage, so it scales with every other sources. And right here, Penetration of the Soul. It actually, like, if the staff's armor damage modifier is actually really good, that you don't need Penetration of the Soul. So you're just directly going down to Warp Siphon. I don't know why they buffed it to make it so it's like you only need 2 points to take all like the well, you need one less point now to actually take warp siphons, because like the damage bonus is included at base. You take warp siphon to give you back more shriek. You take this node to give you 6. So this is essentially 45%. If you have max warp charges, you get 45% cooldown reduction every time you use your ability. And between those ability uses, you also get 24% extra damage. Yeah. And on top of all that, you can get Empyric Reborn. This keystone is so broken. Before, you had to pick and choose. You don't have points for Empyric Reborn and extra crit chance. So you have to, but now they moved the crit chance up here, so you can just take Empyric Reborn for absolutely free, essentially. And Empyric Reborn, what it does is like it gives you warp charges whenever an enemy is currently afflicted by Soul Blaze dies. Like they don't have to die by Soul Blaze, they just have to die with Soul Blaze on them, and they don't even have to be killed by you. Like you, for example, like you venting shriek at a horde, and at like let's say 20 elites, your teammates kills 10 of them, and then boom, and you would gain on average 1 warp charge. But like if there's a horde of 20 enemies also, you'd probably gain 3 warp charges actually, just from not even killing enemies, but even afflicting them with Soul Blaze, because it works on your teammates. It's really insane, because remember, Wildfire spreads to nearby enemies, spreads Soul Blaze to nearby enemies when the enemy afflicted with Soul Blaze dies. So Wildfire has a chance to proc Empyric Reborn and guarantees procs on Soul Drinker, and also Wildfire the targets afflicted by Wildfire can also reproc Empyric Reborn again, and that's like the loop of like reprocking warp siphon is absolutely insane. And lastly, last 2 points. I have a couple of recommendations, because basically every single node on the Psyker tree is really good now. Warp Ghost is really good because it gives you extra toughness replenishment, and even makes peril management even easier if you like struggle to stay at high peril. Sorry, Vermintide instincts. Yeah, it also gives you extra stamina, which if you don't want to run stamina cures, you can just take Warp Ghost, and that gives you extra stamina additionally, and helps you like with peril management if you need that. So that point's really good. Vulnerable Minds is super good. It gives you some extra boss damage, some extra damage against specifically Crushers, Bulwarks, and Reapers, and that's really good. So you can also take this node. This other new talent they added, the other new talent, Immaterial Focus, 10% damage reduction, is really good on Psyker, because Psyker is fairly squishy, and in addition, the stun immunity, well, like critical peril, is also, I think, incredibly good on Havoc, specifically when you get staggered and stunned by ranged enemies that like you miss your shots on, and then basically when you reach critical peril, like if you basically, what it means is 97% peril, which is AKA if you just play well, you'll be around really high peril, and before you use your shriek, you should just go up to max peril anyways. So like if you like try to like pump out as much damage as you can before you shriek, like basically put yourself in overheating state before you venting shriek, then take this node. The stun immunity is super good. The other nodes I was gonna mention is Kinetic Flayer got recently buffed, so you can take that. Sail, it's takeable now, so you could take a sail. I don't recommend it. The other node is Quietude. Quietude got nerfed by itself, but its effect was combined with Old Warp Expenditure, so you can also take that if you want a little bit more peril generation, just to make you feel a little safer. Now, like if you take this node, your ability, when it quells 50% peril, it actually give you 20% toughness back, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, personally, I prefer to build it with Immaterial Focus, and I take Vulnerable Minds, like specifically for the Ogren level enemies. I don't really care about bosses, but you should take that. But I know some other people who would prefer to go Kinetic Flare, and these are all correct choices. Just want to say, this build's, you're playing as like a generalist backliner essentially. Like you can kill basically everything except maybe bosses. That's why I have knife. The knife is pretty good against bosses. You can also pick Dueling Sword or the Force Greatsword if you really want better matchup against bosses. But yeah, like kill all these enemies, get all your warp charges, right? And now I'm gonna spawn a ton of enemies real quick. Oh, the other thing I forgot to talk about is that Warp Fire, aka Soul Blaze, is affected by the blessing of your currently held weapon. So say if you have a blessing, Soul Blaze does really bad armor damage modifier against targets, against heavily armored targets, carapace elites, basically. But hypothetically, say if you have a weapon with what's the blessing's name called? Uncanny Strike, right? What if you have a weapon? Uncanny Strike can give you over 100% rending, which, if you don't know how the ADM and rending mask works, basically makes it so you can do full damage, like full damage on Soul Blaze targets. Here, I could demonstrate just right now. So all I have to do is just take this. I'm not taking it because I think having weaknesses for your build is like more fun to play around instead of taking an Uncanny Strike and just going, oh, I'm gonna spawn a billion other enemies and I'm gonna just like kill them. Oh, the other thing is your M2's damage comes out on the tick that you pull the weapon away. So if you can QQ, if you know how to weapon swap, you can just like kill everything. Look how fast the crushers are dying. Maybe I gotta spawn some heavier elites to demonstrate here. Those elites died too fast. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I'm building up Uncanny Strike value. It's much more obvious with Inferno stuff, but even on EK you can. Like, look how fast. Remember, Crusher health are doubled, so this is actually really impressive damage for a non-Soul Blaze build onto Carapace. Yeah, and they all die. This build it's really broken. I mean, if you want to play in Havocs, if you want to play in Norix, go ahead. Just remember to remember that you should be staffing like 95% of the time. Do some slide charge M2s to stun enemies for your team, build up Peril, Venting Shriek at Horde or Elites, and then you should be able to kill them all. Yeah, you should top damage with this build. Even with Inferno's, I mean, like the damage isn't comparable, obviously, to like Venting Shriek Inferno, but it gives it I think it cuts it pretty close. It does some ridiculous damage you can do. Well, and the bonus part is that, okay, maybe it's not an Inferno tier of damage, but the part that it's really great about it is you can pick out singular elites you want to kill specifically, and you can special snipe with this. Like, if you have specials, they'll die to like 1 or 2 hits, like max 3 hits. Here, I could like, here you have a dog, dead. Oh, you have a Pox Bomber? Dead. You shouldn't do this. You should let your teammate push it. Like, if you have a Tox Flamer, yeah, dead. I missed a headshot, but yeah. Grenadier, dead. Like, you don't even have to go for headshots. Moody, dead. Like, it's so easy to special snipe. You can even, I don't even have it plus 25% to Maniacs, and Trappers dead. And remember, your Venting Shriek and stagger specials. Trappers get staggered. It's like, if you enjoy playing backlining stuff, if you enjoy playing a backliner that can deal with hordes and specials and elites, and pretty much everything else. Hordes and specials and elites and every combination of those things. Play this build, check it out. Yeah.